Oh yeah, it is finally happening. Today is the day we are finally checking out a lance on this channel. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, Josh the RV Nerd here at Bish's RV in Junction City, Oregon today. Finally getting a chance to put my hands on a Lance travel trailer. I've seen one used one ever, but a lot of that is because I come from the Midwest, and these things are made out here along the Pacific coastline, basically. So it's very difficult for me to have access to these. I wish I could get my hands on more of them. I think this is the only one they have here today, because the thing is, Lance is an ultra premium brand. They are not built like your average bear, basically, and as a result, they just don't crank them out at the rate that everybody else does. Like, for instance, this is like, whether it's the cabinetry, whether it's the sidewalls, or anything like that, everything on this is basically CNC routed. It is machine precise within 1/1000th of an inch. Not to mention they're using, composite materials all over the place to help keep the weight in check and increase the lifespan and longevity of their campers. For a smaller, lighter trailer, they do a very good job of putting a good insulation package on these. Like, the underbelly's enclosed, forced air heated, insulated. There's tank heater things available on these. All kinds of cool stuff. Now, you can build them for park use. You can also build them for a little bit of what I'm going to call off-pavement use. Like, they have the Goodyear Endurance radial tires. They don't have like that big, like, super monster truck kind of tire package or anything like that. They're a little more classy and refined than monster truck level. Although, don't get me wrong, I do consider myself a bit of a Coors Light connoisseur, so I think I know classy when I see it. But, what I'm getting at is you can build these with 1 or 2 solar panels. You can build them with an inverter. There's a bunch of different things you can do, and I want to go through and show you what sets them apart and what makes them different, because they have a lot of the same layouts as somebody else, but like I'm telling you, they are not built like anybody else. Now, if you're familiar with a little more of the conventional RV market, the layout of this is almost like if a Rockwood 2109 had a baby with a Rockwood 2104. But this definitely really stands on its own merits. Like, let's just start wrapping stuff out here. We are carpetless. We are ventless flooring. We are as easy cleaning as it gets. I call that easy breezy, beautiful cover girl camping right there. And it's the same thing over in the slide floor. Although you will notice that is a pretty severe step-up slide. That's because the one of the goals of building this RV was to keep the overall height down. So the wheel wells really do stick up into the body of the RV to a pretty decent degree. What is nice, though, despite the smaller size, like, I think this is maybe not even 24-foot tip to tail, we still have central air ripping our way through it, giving us a lot of comfort on this. And you may notice a privacy curtain over there on the left, because up front, we have our kind of, daytime Murphy sofa lounge. And that's another thing that's very interesting on this one. It is a smaller RV that does, I think, a pretty decent job of kind of defining a living room versus a kitchen and dining space where that dinette was. Most of the time, in a floor plan this size, you get either a sofa or a dinette. They gave us both. And these gigantic windows that they have in this thing, these Euro-style windows, they are incredibly noise dampening. They do a better job of keeping the hot and the cold out. But you see, when they open, you want to keep the bugs out. Well, that's where the top day shade comes into place. But if you really want privacy, you pull the, the blackout shade up from the bottom. That way you can still, like, kind of peek over the top. But for the most part, people can't really peek at you. And, if you want to fully go one direction or the other, or if you just want to use one shade and not the other, like, you see how they can kind of, here, let me give you an example. You can use them individually and independently. Now, when we go on the outside of the RV, take note, those are frameless windows. You don't normally find frameless windows on a slide side. But the reason they were able to do that, the downside is those do not open for airflow. And that's the thing. Like, I love going through fun, flashy, sizzle campers like this, but I've yet to find the perfect RV. They all have that 1 or 2 little, qualities. Like, I think this is really, by the way, warning, flashing lights incoming, just to let you sensitive viewers know. There's a switch. It says interior lights. It only activates the light right above our heads right here, which I guess is fine. all of the other lights you have to go through and kind of clickety-clack individually. For this kind of money, it just seemed, that seems like a miss. That seems like a thing that sort of should be happening. That's the kind of thing, regular viewer, and I love you, buddy. Keep it up. Mr. Steve Z will constantly say, I can't believe an RV for this kind of money, doesn't do those sorts of things. I do like that little, almost kind of indirect, kitchen light, although you do have a full, straight up blind you bright light above that. We're going to come back to all this in just a minute because their cabinetry and their work in here is something else they do exceptionally well. And actually, I think one of the best places to see it is in this little just bonus why not storage tower that they came up with here. This almost gives me old classic Fleetwood vibes. They were very good about, if there was a little space like this, they would do something with it. And it's not a lot, but these little, I don't even know if I call them magazine pockets, but they put stuff in there. But it's not just the structure, the shell of the RV that's all CNC routed. Like, all of the cabinetry in this is machine precise. You notice all of the fit and finish is just great. It's virtually beyond compare what they do in here. It is heads and tails above and beyond industry standard. There's just no question about that. Now, all of the Euro style windows that we saw will open for airflow, including the front Stargazer windshield system right here. Now, naturally, you have to make sure you latch that sucker back down for transit, because if you don't, yeah, you could break it. But you know what? I have to latch the hood of my car down before I go down the road too. There's certain things as owners we need to take responsibility for. I kind of feel like that's one of them. Now, we're going to get to the lounge function in a second, but obviously, it's a Murphy bed. Check that out. I've been recording a lot of videos, guys. I'm getting tired. It's a Murphy bed. And it's that time again, everybody. Time for a Burt Reynolds Murphy bed demo. Anytime I have a Murphy bed, I kind of like people to get to see how it works. And the bendy bed system seems to become the more dominant one in the industry. It's not my favorite, actually. I prefer more of like the Rockwood Flagstaff style, although the one downside to that one is it does severely limit your potential for exterior storage. Now this right here, this is just going to jackknife down. We're going to talk a little bit more about that function in a minute. But then, of course, we have the bendy bed. Now, I've kind of dressed it up by draping the bedspread over it with a snap of a finger. That all goes away, and you can just see the mattress. Now, it does have a seam in it. It is a fold-open kind of bendy bed. But one of the really clutch details on this is a 60 by 80 True Queen. And if you're looking at it, it's probably the best quality bendy bed I've ever seen in my life. Again, for the cost of the camper, I think you kind of expect that a little bit. And look, it comes with a little built-in mattress protector in case I piddle myself at night. Anyway, laying down on this, you have tons of room. And this is like a really cool instance. I got to get you over here in a second to take a look at what's going on in that big skylight area, that big Stargazer skylight. So, it's something where you do have to kind of make the bed every day, every night, but it maintains maximum storage all around the bed. It gives you more ability to actually get over here and walk around the bed. A lot of Murphy bed systems, like you're here at the foot of the bed, kind of peeking around the corner like Batman, and that's all you can do. After that, you're crawling hands and knees to get into the bed. I'm not going to do that because I'd be flashing my backside, and then I'm sure it'd have a whole international incident. Josh the RV Nerd stirs a ruckus with his tuckus. Sorry, I hope you folks like the jokes because, I'm alone all day. Kind of like Tom Hanks on Castaway. I just start going nuts. I'm literally talking to nobody. You're listening, but I'm talking to no one right now at the time that I'm recording this. And sometimes I just start entertaining myself. And I don't know if you noticed, I have a very specific variety of humor about me. And I don't know why you folks tolerate it. I'm just glad you do. Again, all the cabinetry, all the stuff is all CNC routed. Notice too the bigger XL vent fan up here above the bed. Now remember, these Euro style windows, they can tilt open, but not like dramatically tilt open. Not like frameless windows that barely tilt. They really crank open, and you can get some serious airflow going through them. Couple that with that big vent fan, and you're going to be good to go. So we've seen the bed arrangement. We kind of glanced at the sofa, but you noticed it didn't have any kind of armrest. What if you're a leaner like me? Well, the good news is they thought of that too. And as with everything else in the RV, they came up with a more premium way of doing it. Although I think I put the left on the right and the right on the left. I don't think you're supposed to see the zipper. But what you can still, get the idea. It went in a lot harder than it came out, guys. Obviously, I don't edit my videos a whole heck of a lot, but they come with, like, they slot in place. There's little post mounts in there so that, like, when you do lean on it, it doesn't just roll off the side. Although, obviously, if you lift up on it, it does seem to go flying rather easily, doesn't it? But this I thought was actually one of the more interesting things. It almost reminded me of like what Lincoln does half the time. They shove their batteries in here in a very unconventional position. And due to the fact that, they're here under the sofa, it's the kind of thing that if you do need to swap them out, it's a bit of a project. But at the same time, the fact that the batteries are in here and protected a little bit more makes them a little bit less likely to need to be swapped out. One of the other cool things you can get on this from the factory is actually a lithium battery. And of course, it's kind of stuff Bishop can assist you with as well. And remember, you can always use the back section of the bendy bed. First, can we also acknowledge, sorry, my train of thought jumped the tracks. Very few Murphy beds allow you to still enjoy the front window during the daytime. When you're in sofa mode, you almost always lose it. Like Apex is one of the few other brands that allows you to do that. This is an extreme rarity in the industry, and it helps the whole space look and feel bigger. Plus, you can always use this like a big old giant doggy daybed. Frankly, if I'm stuck in here in a rainy day, I could see myself having my feet over there, having a pillow over here, having my wife kind of stretched out, lounged on the sofa doing the same thing, so that we could have ourselves kind of a little rainy day entertainment situation going on over here. And again, those big windows really helping open up the whole space. But if you notice, that is an extremely aggressive, like, double swing arm TV. So if you're over here in the dinette, where I'm at right now, it can still swing around for some pretty easy viewing. Now, they've gone with a little bit of almost like a Class B, almost European-inspired kind of, cabinetry decor here. You see those little light color accents. What do you guys think about that? Like, I'm a pretty traditional Midwestern boy, but I appreciate this. I think it looks good. It has that sort of classy, upscale feel and appeal to it. Now you're looking at a gas electric fridge freezer here. These are built on the West Coast, and out here it is still, or the Pacific Northwest. Sorry, I get yelled at if I call the Pacific Northwest the West Coast, even though it's on the Pacific Ocean and it's on the western side of the country on the coast. It's not the West Coast, it's the Pacific Northwest, right, guys? Anyway, again, I'm just a dumb Midwestern dude. Don't yell. Whatever. We're Americans. We barely know our own geography. Cut me some slack here. What I'm getting at, after all of sorry, is this has a gas electric two-way fridge. That is really a very common dominant thing out here, just due to the way that the folks in this region tend to camp. But did you notice one of those big 22-inch ovens? So you can actually cook up a storm in this thing, and oh my Lanta, this is such a rarity. It's one of those things, like I noticed Northwood and Lance both tend to hit a lot of the same notes, but they go about it in a very different way. Full side splash beside the stove. Why is this so rare in the RV industry? It's crazy to me how uncommon it is. Now there's kind of what I'm going to call refrigerator lighting up here in the cabinetry. There's just a little kind of kill switch. So when you open the cabinets, you can actually see what you're doing. And then you're like, oh, so there is kind of a microwave up here. Well, sort of, but what's nice, no rattly turntable. Look at that. That's just another cool, different little thing that they're doing here. I kind of like it. I like it. I like that shelf in the cabinetry here, although I do believe that could be removed if you have some taller things you want to put into there. Solid surface countertop, and that is a stone cast sink. I'm actually really glad they made it a black stone cast, because when it's white, it just looks like plastic. But the thing with stone cast, it's rated for up to 500 degrees. Water boils before that. So that thing, you can literally just pour a pot of boiling water into it, and it's not going to have issues. I don't know that I love the sliding lightweight tote situation here. It's performing the function of drawers. I get that. The hand feel of it, though, it feels kind of cheapish to me. But any Lance owners out there, can you comment on like, hey, how well does this work? If it works great, I'm a function over fashion person. That's fine. I guess that's the biggest thing that I'm really kind of curious about is how well does it really work? Over here, what's kind of cool about this, that is either extra kitchen space or overflow personal storage. And then over here, yet another like hanging closet area. Although I really feel like this is a missed opportunity for shelves. I don't know. When I see a big, tall space like that, I like the ability to potentially use that as like cabinet storage space. And this thing actually, for no bigger than it is, has a pretty reasonable cargo capacity that I think could support that. And then it's funny, you close everything up and it looks kind of nice and clean again. Now this is a nice find. Usually with an elevated dining situation, you're lucky just to find doors, you know? This is full-on plywood box drawers on some heavy-duty hardware drawer glide so that you can actually load those with real cargo and slide them open as you need. There is storage below the back bench. When we get outside, you'll notice that there is actually a cargo door out there to be able to get to that. Now, of course, this can fold down into an additional sleeper space. I will try to see if I can get you hard dimensions on that. It is a thing that manufacturers just weirdly, very rarely bother taking the time to list the measurements on all their sleeping spaces, which everybody asks me for, but I can't always get them. And I know that sounds dumb. You're like, well, why can't you just go get a tape measure? Like when I travel like this, I'll record 20, 30 plus videos rapid fire. And I struggle to keep the notes all straight for that. So, you know, that's my deficiency. I apologize. But the good news, you can call one of our team members at one of our stores, send them an email, whatever. Hey, can you go measure that whatever for me? Yeah, we'll hop out. We'll do it. We'll do what we need to assist you. You know, I try to do my best to give you a general idea, but there's sometimes very ultra specifics that I still need to kind of rely on the local level to handle. Now, I was surprised. Usually when you have a corner bathroom like this, you've got just, no pun intended, crappy toilet situation going on here. That really wasn't bad. But I think it's because this radius shower, which is going to be an issue for some folks who want some better elbow room, with it having that draw curtain out of the way instead of a hard shower door enclosure, it provides far better kind of elbow room. Now, when we opened the closets beside the bed, there was a bunch of stuff kind of in there. One of those were snap-out kind of shades that you could put over these vents. So if you are extreme hot weather camping, you can block those vents out so that they're not generating extra heat in the RV like like an ant under a magnifying glass. And did you notice, even here in the bathroom, they're still using those nicer stone cast sinks. Again, very premium all the way through, very consistent that way. And I tell you what, I was a little bit nervous as the slide was closing, because that's a nice deep slide, and it's an exceptionally deep Dinette. You see how far it sticks out past the slide. I was worried this wouldn't have good road mode function, but it stops with just enough space that you don't have to totally do a sideways travel trailer two-step. And then I went, wait a minute, there's enough room in here. You can even still use the bed without opening the slide. So this thing, it completely passes the Cracker Barrel camping test when you got to make those overnight pit stops. Now, back outside here, the wacky weirdness kind of continues, and in like the best way. Like, I'm not trying to pick on any of the other brands. There's plenty of other fine campers out there. They certainly cost less, but everything I'm telling you in this video is really some of the reasons they cost less. Like, instead of just a conventional automotive bonded windshield, which is cool, Lance sticks with those, dual pane Euro style windows that can actually still tilt open. There's a very slim number of RVs in the history of history whose front can open up for air, which I think is cool. There's also little things like instead of conventional little like screw trim over here, they use a formed aluminum extrusion, which is just a little bit stronger and it holds together better, and it doesn't require that cheaper plastic screw trim, that cap, you know, to help keep the weather out of it, as it were. Now up front here, they also do a very interesting thing where you expect to see propane and battery hookups. They instead have just propane, and you see that triple tank system, although one of the tanks is a little bit smaller. What that can let you do is like you can hot swap that extra tank, because not all 3 tanks are hooked up at once. So you have an auto changeover regulator here. If that thing flips and says, hey, the tank that I was trying to use is dead, it'll start using the good tank. You can hot swap, you know, that thing out if you need to, but you always kind of have this extra third little emergency reserve guy here, which I think is kind of cool. You've also got a different kind of tongue jack. Again, there's nothing wrong with the power jacks you see on any of these campers. With that smart jack system, one of the cool things it can do for you is it can remember how high it was set when you unhooked from your vehicle, so that when you are done camping and you need to get hooked back up, well, you just push the button and it'll go right back to where it needs to be effectively, which I think is kind of cool. This is also very different over here. If you look at this, it's ventilated. I do believe that means that if you wanted to, like right now it's just cargo. I'm sure you could probably, you know, load extra lithium batteries in here, because the battery hookups, remember, are under the sofa. They're basically just behind that little, that little panel over on the right. I wouldn't be surprised if you could probably do a generator upfit on this as well. That's usually when you see it in closed compartment, that's what that's really intended for. And just every little nook and cranny, every little odd and end, every little thing that they could do on this one is great. Now, what's interesting here is you do have a single sewer outlet. All of the black and the gray water does come out back there, but you have a black pole there and a gray pole up here, which I found just a little, that's different. Little toy lock system here to help keep your bicycles from taking their own leisurely walk down the camping road. And down here, we have the enclosed, forced air, heated, insulated accessibility. That is something that a lot of those more premium fifth wheels have been using for a while. It's far more impact resistant, but it's also a sectionalized system where instead of dropping the entire underbelly or having to take a shop razor and cut an access panel into it and then duct tape it back in place, which sucks. You know, I wouldn't want that to be the way that you have to service my nice trailer like this. You can drop just the section you need, put it back up, and never tell anything was ever done there. Just little details like that, those extra little things. Now, obviously we have the smart jack on the front, but you also have all 4, corner power stabilizers as well. And what is nice is the switch for those is actually hidden away inside here, so that a unmonitored neighbor child doesn't have their way with your campsite. Now, we don't have a full true pass-through because we have that extra little, compartment on the side. So, thankfully, they said, no worries, we got the technology. With one of those almost like diesel pusher style belly slide out trays, I was trying to get one of the skinny guys inside to lay on that thing and let me slide him out of it, but they declined. I don't think they were sure I was going to let them back out. Anyway, I love it whenever an RV does this. Includes its own picnic table, and it gives you a perfect place to slide it out of the way. And I tell you why? Because I have had more than one viewer send me a picture through my private channels saying, I took this photo when I was out camping this weekend, and it's a photo of like a person throwing their black tank tube, their sewer tube, across a public picnic table. That is gross. That is disgusting. That's a health safety kind of concern. But more than just people, you also have to consider animals. Birds poop on those things. Raccoons do God knows what on them, It's nice to have your own picnic table and at least bring a picnic table cover. I would always do that. Little simple side mount solar prep plug right there. You can also have things like roof solar prep and 1 or 2 roof panels put on these, and I believe a 1500 watt inverter added to them. Goodyear Endurance radials, American made, 87 mile an hour rated, and this is like, you just don't see this on travel trailers every day. A Road Armor shock dampening suspension package right here with wet bolt fasteners so that you can actually lubricate and keep all that stuff in great shape. And if you notice, you see those little brackets? That is pre-prep if you want to add shocks to this thing. So as it stands in its current format, it's really more of an executive park glamper. If you wanted to kind of bulk some stuff up, though, and you wanted to do some off-road kind of craziness, it has the capacity. Notice, too, a different type of awning. You got one of those armless kind of awnings, so, you know, they don't have to, like, they could put bigger windows in and not have to fight with awning arm space. Not to mention the fact that when it's open, you don't got to crack your nugget on it, which I'm telling you, people with hair, you don't realize how much your hair acts like an early warning detection system. I'm constantly whacking my head on stuff all the time. Now, let's talk some serious construction stuff. They're built different. The whole thing, basically, again, is CNC routed. So anywhere there's a window, or the refrigerator vent, or the furnace, or anything like that, it's all computer programmed and machine routed, precise within 1/1000th of an inch. It just takes a lot of that human error factor out of it. And little things like the little radius entry door right there. When I first saw that, I kind of felt like, is that going to be a tripping hazard? And I've walked in and out of it a bunch of times. Totally not the case whatsoever. But we all know, I think it's pretty common knowledge, that a radius corner is just flat stronger than a 90-degree angled dog-eared corner. That's a massive different thing they do on these. Very, very few brands match. This has what they call the fat ladder on the back, PHAT. Pretty hot and tempting, I suppose. I guess it's better than pretty hoagie and testy. Backup camera or observation camera on the back there. Observation camera, by the way, means it has a faster refresh rate, so you can see what you're doing in motion going down the road, whereas a backup camera is really only intended for lower speeds. Got a 300-pound accessory rack on the back. That might be a decent place to put a little portable generator. You could put a bike rack in there, whatever you look for. Oh, you can option a tankless water heater on these. I think I would probably do that. What is your preference, by the way? You know, the gas electric water heater, a tankless on-demand water heater. I'm really starting to move over to the camp of the tankless variety. The more that I see of them, the more that I learn of them. They can be a little bit lighter weight, which is kind of nice. Around the corner, got a little outside utility shower, black tank flush. And we sort of looked at this earlier, but I kind of pride myself on my transparency. The standard default setup on this, that sewer outlet does hang a little bit low. It's just kind of a funny thing that happens with these. But again, know what you're getting into and know how you're going to use the RV. You could do some upfits on this, I think, to make it a little more off-road friendly. But if that's really what you're looking for, that hard, rugged kind of thing, you might consider giving us a call and looking at something like a Northwood Nash. Their off-the-grid package can be built ready for that, you know, shock suspension, bigger tires, lifted everything, super heavy-duty build construction on that. So we've got, whether you want the, the executive or the rugged log cabin variety, we got a little bit of everything for you here at Bish's. Now, as I tend to do, I'm up here getting high on campers, and there's really not a lot to look at on the roof of this one. This is really made as a little miniature executive park glamper, like I said, but you can build these with 1 or 2 roof solar panels if you are so inclined. And that, by the way, is a Coleman Mach Q series. That is the quiet series air conditioner, so that it doesn't roar quite as loud as Katy Perry when you crank her up. Let me know what you think, guys. Are you loving all the new stuff that we're able to bring to the channel now? I know a lot of people are really nervous, a little skittish, when I said, hey, Haylet RV is changing. We're joining Bish's RV. And a lot of people thought, everything was just going to go to pot, basically. That's an old-timey phrase I haven't said in a long time. Something about going, being around campers makes me think of growing up camping with my grandfather. And Lord, he said that all the time. Anyway, my grandfather's where I get a lot of my orneriness, to be fair. But let me know what you think about all the new stuff coming in. I'm doing my best to try to give you a wide variety of stuff, and we have so many different things that I could cover. I can't possibly cover every floor plan from every brand like I would really like to. So I'm kind of picking and choosing 1 or 2 from all the different brands, and then I really need you in the comment section to guide me, like, what things do you want to see more of? What do you want me to focus more time on? Because I only have so much time to go around, and occasionally I get tired and I pass out and I go to sleep. But when you're ready, we're ready. We'd love to work with you. I'll leave you a link in the video description. You can see if we have one of these in stock, because again, they do tend to go fast. If we have one in stock, the pricing will be listed right there. And due to the way that pricing changes, if I don't have it in stock, I really have to ask you to call our team to get an accurate current price, because whatever it happened to be today may not be what it is tomorrow. That's just kind of the way of the RV industry. And when it comes to money, I want you to know exactly what you're getting into. If you appreciate that, showing you the ins and the outs and the ups and the downs, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you'd like to see next. Let me know what you think of her. And until next time, take care, stay safe, have fun, and best wishes from Bishes, everyone.